Hey guys, what's up? It's Lawrence. It is I. Uh, so today, oh, got the vacuum in the background. So today we're just doing kind of a late night hangout. Uh, Make sure to tell me if you can hear me well or if I have to turn up the gain or anything, because I'm never quite sure with these live streams. Uh, so before I get what's with the towel? It's just for the mic. I know it doesn't look very professional, but the mic is right in here. So since we have some content coming out later this week on Friday, that's the earliest we can get like some real content. I decided to do just one of these late night hangouts again, just to give you guys something. And I apologize in advance if that grandfather clock in the back starts, doing its thing, or if my cat starts being annoying, all that stuff. Let's see, Alan, dude, I need a comeback for the prophecy of Daniel. Do you have anything? If you have On the Historicity of Jesus by Richard Carrier, he kind of goes into all of Daniel, how it's a timetable. And Daniel was a second century forgery, I think. But that's demonstrated in Carrier's book, and it's also he pretty much makes the argument that it's this prophetic timetable pretty much, and the entire Son of Man tradition specifically came from it, verbatim in some cases. So I really recommend I think he has almost an entire chapter on that. I forget some of the specifics. I read it a while ago, like all the way through. But I do plan on doing something on Daniel. But that's very research intensive. I'm also doing a video on the golden calf soon, and that's also incredibly research intensive. I've been kind of sick, like with intestinal issues, so I have not been able to concentrate too much. It's like I'm doing fine right now, as you can see, and I kind of powered my way through the last Atheist Sunday School, but I have a lot of reading material to get through. But you will get some amazing content once I get all that stuff together. I want to thank the 1,000 people that have actually joined us here at Milwaukee Atheists, the new subscribers. The Council of Nicaea video really blew up. I was not expecting that, but it's been fantastic. So I want to say hello to all newcomers, and hopefully you guys will stick around and enjoy some of the content. I don't know if Ruben is doing an armchair philosophy this week, or I think he wants to do a book review. I'm not sure. But we're going to get some real content for you guys pretty soon. I'm also going to be smoking, so you might hear it. I turned down the gain on the mic, so you might not, or it might be really quiet. Tell me if it's too loud. I'll just turn it down. Yeah, today I just figured I'd hang out with you guys. And I have an interesting story too, as the title of this video suggests. Yesterday, I was at home, and I mean it's dank, but it's not dank. It's just regular old hookah. Yesterday I was at home, and I was reading something, and then actually I was reading this book. Hold on. I was reading this. It's kind of backwards in the camera, but it's The Life of Moses by John Van Setters. He pretty much goes into how the entire Moses story was written, and it's awesome. So I was reading that in preparation for like everything because Van Setters is just a brilliant guy. And some Jehovah's Witnesses came popping up at my door, and I was like, ooh, this is good. This is so good. And they asked me if I had heard the good news, and and me being me, I'm like, yeah, I have. I'm going to school for religious studies, and I'm focusing on biblical scholarship. And they're like, wow, so you've heard the good word? And I'm like, yeah, I've heard it. I don't believe it. I'm an atheist. And they were just shocked. Uh, they they also have like this app that's just for them, that they pulled up to reference all their arguments and stuff on, and it's biblical scholarship, but the only people doing it were Jehovah's Witnesses. Everything that goes into this app was from Jehovah's Witnesses. And it was really intriguing. Like, they pulled up verses from, they only had access to their Bible from I don't know which one they used, but they only had access to that one. And they had this list of books and who the authors were, and they were showing me this list. And the first thing I saw, because it was at the very top, was on, for the first 5 books, the Torah, it said Moses was the author. And I'm like, no, that's just wrong. I know that's traditionally what people think, but it's just plain wrong. And they were like, oh, you don't think Moses wrote them? And I'm like, no, I know Moses didn't write them. There's no evidence for historical Moses. And I said that. I was going to go more into it about how the Moses story kind of formed, how he was a national hero, like a Paul Bunyan-esque, like a Paul Bunyan on steroids. I was going to go into that, but they were just so shocked by this assertion that they were like, well, the Dead Sea Scrolls attest to it. And I'm like, the Dead Sea Scrolls were written like in the 3rd century BCE at the earliest, and in the 1st century CE at the latest. There's no way they could have had access to that kind of information. And they had no response. They didn't know what to say at all, because me being me. That was fun. I chatted with them for a while, and there's an interesting thing that I found about their Bible, the one that they were using. I was referencing how, there were a lot of parts of the Bible that aren't supposed to be in there. Some things were taken out or edited, and they didn't know about it exactly, but whoever translated their Bible did, which is actually good. I referenced the pericope adulterae, the story of Jesus and the woman taken into adultery, and they had no idea what the story was, and I was like, oh, okay, and I kind of gave them the synopsis of the story, and they looked it up in their, it was just an iPad, so they looked it up in their little app, and it was missing the entire thing, and they were both like, where is it? And I'm like, well, whoever translated your Bible actually did a good thing by taking it out, because whoever translated it recognized that it's not original. So that was good. I know that they don't believe in the Trinity, so they also probably don't have the Johannine comma, and that's the only verse in the Bible that explicitly outlines the Trinity doctrine. So they probably don't have that. I don't know if they have the longer ending of Mark. Usually Bibles like include all that stuff and just tell you in the margins. But theirs took it out completely, which was interesting. But then they gave me their card after we're talking about the history of the Bible for a little bit, and I gave them mine. But then they just handed it right back. They didn't want my card. They couldn't be seen with with a little piece of cardboard that says Milwaukee Atheists on it. Be blasphemy or something. I mean, that's the story I had. So, how's everyone doing tonight? Well, your team start taking calls to debate. I'm not sure if you mean theists or atheists. We might do a call-in show later, but that certainly won't be for atheist Sunday school because oh, there goes the grandfather clock. Certainly won't be atheist Sunday school because atheist Sunday school is specifically for reading the Bible. So it's kind of has nothing to do with would have nothing to do with the show. But we could do a call-in thing in the future. I have no idea how to do that. Something about a Google Voice number. I was reading up on it, but I haven't even attempted to, so I don't know. You have links that shows when various gospels were discovered. Wikipedia is not so good. I don't know about when they were discovered, because it's kind of that's a weird question because we kind of had because we had so many translations over time that they eventually found their way to us. So scholars today always knew about them. Scholars of the past always knew about them up until the point they were written. So that's a strange question. There are things I could give you for when manuscripts of different gospels were found or when they dated to. So we can know how old they are. Yeah, okay. So the most comprehensive list, I am not sure if it's still up to date, but there is Allen and Allen's New Testament, like Introduction to New Testament Criticism by Kurt and Barbara Allen. That has a comprehensive list. It is pretty much every manuscript they had found until that point. I'm not sure if they have found any new ones. I have no idea. At least, I think we found. I think we found non-canonical stuff since it was written, but I'm not sure about canonical stuff. But that has the most comprehensive list of where of the description of what is actually on the manuscript, when it dates to, when it was found. I'm pretty sure, and where it's stored. Kurt and Barbara Alland. So it's Aland. Why did Moses have horns? Because he was the devil. He was Satan in the flesh. I'm not sure if that was meant to be a funny question or a serious one. There's a lot of great stuff in this book. There's an entire chapter on just the golden calf narrative, the Life of Moses one, and it goes way into detail about who wrote it, why it was written, comparisons to other things. It's just crazy. It's the most comprehensive book on the subject. Vance Setters, I've been wanting to get into contact with him because I want to do an interview with him. Ram horns. Okay, I'm gonna see Moses ram horns. It's interesting. I have never seen that. The horns of Moses. Oh, okay. I see. Legit thing. Okay. I'll have to look into this later. So just doing a quick what's it called? Just a skimming of it. Wait, I don't remember this. Hold on. Okay, been become a widespread belief that Moses, when he came down from Mount Sinai with the tablets of the law, had two horns on his forehead. This strange idea, however, is based upon a wrong interpretation. Okay. I don't remember him having horns when we were reading through it. Uh, yeah, and behold, the skin of his face shone. And then the Habakkuk brightness was on his side. Yeah, that just sounded kind of like. I mean, I have no idea. I'm gonna have to look into this more, but it sounds interesting. Hello, new people joining. Statue of Moses shows him with hands. Yeah, maybe. Oh, shitty representation of rays of light. I have no idea. I would have to look into this more, but that sounds interesting. I haven't come across that in anything, but it sounds nifty. Yeah, I was. They were the Jehovah's Witnesses were so confused as to how I understood the Bible, and I'm like, I think it is a book of mythology and allegory, and it might have kernels of truth in it. Like they took things that happened and built an entire thing around it to the point where we have to dig real deep to get to what actually would have happened. Uh, so I told them that I usually take it as like historical fiction, uh, even though that's probably not how the writers saw it exactly. Uh, that is how I take it in the same vein. The History of the Bible podcast. I'll look that up. You know what was really interesting? I saw my friend Dan actually showed me this podcast that was called The Bible Pirates. And I was like, this is too perfect. I don't know what this is. I have to look it up. And I they had like no episodes. It was just advertising at that point. And I'm not sure if they even made any of those, but it seemed very interesting. Hello, DB. And of course, hello, OT. Some classic people here. Reese. I don't know if I've seen Katie before. John K. You might be new. Not sure. You'll probably know more than your future professors. I doubt it. I'm not. I have very low expectations of myself and how much I know, just to not fall victim to the Dunning-Kruger effect. Really don't want to presume I know more than I actually do. So I doubt that I'll know more than them. I'm sure I'll know quite a bit of things. Uh, One of my scholarly friends that I've been talking to, he's an atheist, but he's working at like this. I think he's working at a seminary right now, so he can't really come out. But I've been talking to him. He gives me great references, great lists of sources to read, and it's absolutely fantastic. And he uh, he said that he thought that I was going to do really well, and I was like, that means something serious to me. Like if this actual scholar is like, oh, you'll do well, I was like, oh, that's so nice. Not that people in the chat are idiots, but I think you know what I mean. Probably phrased that poorly. Might be surprised half of your courses you only sat for the midterms. Nice. Yeah, I know that was poorly phrased. I'm sorry, but hopefully I do well. And I'm only doing part time, so that'll be much better because when I initially went to school for astrophysics, it was just way too much stuff on one plate. So I just did not do all that great. So hopefully this time around, it's much better. I can concentrate on these things and actually, pass. Although I was kind of doing it to spite my parents at the time because I was like, I want to take like a year off, of school and just pretty much find myself. Uh, and they were like, no, you're going. And I was like, well, screw you. So then I made them lose a bunch of money because I was an edgy teenager and I'm an asshole. I'll probably make videos on Mormonism eventually. I think most of it has been covered because it's just such an easy thing to tear apart because the dude was a known con man. But like the idea of their god like actually coming down and actually fucking people is really funny to me. So I'll probably do something about it. Will you post the vid when you and your partner summon the devil when you get enough 666 donations? Absolutely, we will. We will summon Satan. We have, since Ruben is really into esoteric stuff, he has a bunch of books on demon summonings, and he has, the Satanic Bible and a bunch of stuff on this, and it's really entertaining. But we will definitely post our summoning ritual. Gonna crack myself open a Mountain Dew. A group of people that see the overrepresentation of Jewish population in law, land, banking, media, and government. The GDL exposes their overrepresentation in those areas. I have no idea what GDL stands for. I might know, but I don't know it by the acronym. Sorry. Passed the fellowship to MIT because dyslexia precluded in-depth mathematics. Oh, that sucks. When a 6 and 9 look the same, don't do math. Yeah, I gotcha. That's got to be tough to deal with. I think. Don't tell Chris, but I think he might have dyslexia. Hail Satan! It kind of reminds me of creationist cats. Sodomites. Thank you for the 666, DB. Live in Utah. They will die for their belief. Yeah. I hear that the Mormon Church is, aside from their beliefs being nuts, is very much, or it's really similar to how Scientology reacts to things. Not Scientology, that's just, Scientologists. That's what I've heard, but I have no idea. I haven't really experienced much stuff from Mormons. I know that recently there was a Mormon that commented on one of our videos, and and he was like, maybe if you take atheist out of your name, then people with other beliefs will be more inclined to listen to you. And I'm like, maybe, but I don't want to do that. So going to the movies. All right, have fun at the movies, OT. Naked Mormonism podcast. That sounds neat. There's a lot of stuff that I do want to listen to. Like I have 5 audio books on my phone right now that I just have not been getting through because I've been listening to like a bunch of other stuff. Usually it's you might just hate me for this, but back when the Drunken Peasants were like, the original cast and they were always covering Brett Keane, like I love the Brett Keane drama so much. It's just so entertaining to me that I listen to those 10-hour long compilations of them just making fun of Brett Keane. It's just fantastic. I'm a terrible person. but it's just always like there's so much content on it. Yeah, I will. We have a lot of stuff to cover because like right now we're doing Christianity stuff, and then we're gonna do Islam, and then we're either gonna do Mormonism or Scientology because once we're actually done reading the Bible, uh, we're gonna read the Quran, and then we're either gonna read Genetics or the Book of Mormon. And I think we'll stay with the same name. I think we'll stay with Atheist Sunday School, just to not be confusing. Do I think William Lane Craig is actually crazy? You know, oh, there goes the grandfather clock again. I don't know if I would say he's crazy, because I know that uh, he personally believes because of the inner witness of the Holy Spirit, and but he recognizes that he can't demonstrate that to somebody. So although he might have had some schizophrenic episode, I think he recognizes that he can't show that, which is something that's good. I guess that's a positive. That he uses like other arguments. So I'm not sure if I would call him crazy. What the Quran? Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We're also going to go over the Quran. No holy book left behind. That's our new motto. And so recently, if you have noticed the growth of this channel, it's been crazy huge. It's literally 1,000 subscribers in the past 7 or 8 days. It's been crazy, and it's fantastic. Uh, but that spike stayed up a lot longer than I thought it would. Honestly, like the first day that this past week that we got 100 subscribers in a day, I was like, "Whoa, that's not gonna hold up. That's gonna go right back down." And it didn't. It stayed for a while, which is really nice. And I hope the new viewers stay for a while. There's also this Orthodox Christian who actually tweeted at Milwaukee Atheists, and he tweeted out the Nicaea video, and he was like, as an Orthodox Christian with being a hothead, I've got into my fair share of debates with atheists, and they're all of the vitriolic type. It's good to see some fair-minded, generally accurate history of early Christianity. And he's like, big thanks. And I'm like, I don't know if, I mean, I said thank you, obviously, but just, I'm not sure if that should be a good sign or a bad one. I'm not sure how I should take this stuff. Probably all on, I'll take it situationally. So this one seemed good. Once, I think once the real fringe ideas start agreeing with me, or not the real fringe ones, I should say, the real lack of evidence ideas, because fringe isn't necessarily lack of evidence, but the ones that really lack evidence, once they start agreeing with me, then I'll be like, all right, maybe I'm going a little off the rails. But let's agree that there is not such thing as witness of the Holy Spirit. I absolutely agree. The chances of that are pretty low, considering we're not even quite sure what that is. You know what? Hold on. I'll literally be back in about 3 seconds. All right, perhaps that was 4. Had to get more coals. for my smoking habit. Let's see. My precept without. I don't know how to say that. Nixel. I don't know. You can't know anything. Oh, gotcha. I see what you're doing there. Okay. I am following you. Mormon temple ceremonies are nutty as fuck. Check them out if you want. Mainly Freemasonry BS, but does have some aspects of the old Grecan mystery cults. Okay. A Mormon temple ceremony. That does sound interesting. I don't think I've seen one of those. Would you agree that the ontological argument is the most idiotic thing ever presented by a philosopher? I have completely forgotten which one that is. The ontological one. Because they all kind of get mixed up in my brain, so I kind of forget which one that is. I'm going to look it up quick. Like, I'm sure I'll see it and I'll just remember it. Oh, yeah. Okay. Just, yeah, absolutely. Defining God into existence. Yeah. That is ridiculous. It's like, okay, being on fire is the most painful thing I can imagine. There is a possible world in which I am on fire. It is more painful to be on fire than to not be on fire. Therefore, I am on fire. Just defining it into existence. You should do a forged fiction on the Book of Revelation. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be doing for my next forged fiction is going to be on the Johannine epistles, all three of them, because like two of them are just way too short to even do a video about. The video might be a minute or two long, including the intro and outro. So I'm just going to throw it all together. And then after that, I believe the last book for the Forged Fiction series will be Revelation. And then I might start doing Old Testament stuff, but the Old Testament stuff is so much deeper and so much more complex. It would take a lot more work on that. Revelation's the best book in the Bible. You know, it's certainly interesting. They could have picked a better Revelation because the Revelation in the Bible is the Apocalypse of John, which, by the way, is a different John than the one that is supposed to have written the Gospel of John. Their eschatological views, their views on the end of the world, are vastly different. So it's likely not the same dude. Although I think that idea is still propagated in traditional circles. But they should have went, in my opinion, with the Apocalypse of Peter. That's my favorite one, the Apocalypse of Peter. It's basically Jesus taking Peter on a journey through heaven and hell. And I mean, the heaven stuff is really boring. I mean, there's a part where the author literally speaks of the angels being really sexy dudes. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. But then the hell stuff is actually really cool. It's the really detailed descriptions of the things that go on in hell. It's actually where Dante got his imagery. The whole hangers by their tongues. I don't remember the circles exactly, but at least the descriptions of what goes on to certain people for certain sins, that was really in depth. I kind of covered it in my brief history of hell video from a while ago. Who chose the Ed Guy music for the intros? I did. I am an Ed Guy fan, and we don't use that intro anymore, obviously, because it was simply too long. 42 seconds. Got a lot of feedback about that. And I'm like, they're probably right. Should probably cut that down. So we went from that to Motley Crue, and then people people were just clicking off videos because they heard shout at the devil. And it's kind of like a play into atheist stereotypes. Like people think I worship the devil, so I'm like, fuck, I'll give them what they want. Uh, it's obviously in jest, but people don't understand that, so whatever. Then we kind of changed it to what we have now, which is actually a little thing Ruben made. He got this nifty little keyboard, and he made whatever we use now. Revelation makes more sense stoned out of your mind. Yeah, I bet. I can't wait until we get to Revelation, not just because it's the last book, but because it's just so interesting. Daniel's not that far off from Revelation. It's also apocalyptic literature. It's very different from it in many ways, but it has the same general theme. Revelation of John is an apocalyptic Gnostic text. I have no idea. I'll be honest, no idea. I could see that conclusion, but I have no idea. I can't draw any conclusions. The monster consisted of a lion, bull, eagle, and man. 4 signs of the zodiac. I forget the name of the thing that you're referencing, but I do know what you're talking about. And signs of the zodiac, might be forgetting all of my signs of the zodiac, but I don't remember eagle being in there, or man even. Actually, I don't remember most of those things. Might be forgetting it all. I don't know. Southern Baptists think Dante is part of the Old Testament. What? No way. You're lying to me. There is no way that's true. Why would they think that's part of the Old Testament? You are a liar. Oh, you guys visit the Ark Encounter. You know, once we actually start making enough to go on trips, like reasonably, we probably will. We'll probably go to the Ark Encounter and a bunch of other stuff. We'll probably, we'll be going to more conferences, that's for sure. Because I want to go to a lot of conferences, but paying for, hotels and travel is difficult. So once we are making enough, we will absolutely be going to places. Rabbinical review of Daniel? Okay. I mean, that actually is fairly accurate with modern scholarship, that it was a fraud. Eagle is a constellation, but not zodiacal one. I don't know. Ruben probably knows the zodiac stuff better. Ark Encounter is a very eccentric thing. Yeah, I bet. I've seen, I know Aaron goes there a lot, and on Facebook he always posts pictures of his time there, and sometimes he gets videos debating either Ken Ham or some other people. It's always entertaining. I always like that stuff. Pirates of the Caribbean is a better show and more historical. I mean, if we're talking about in comparison to the Ark Encounter, yes. And that has some nutty things in it too. Speaking of pirates, actually, if you didn't catch the last Atheist Sunday School, I discussed going on the Non Sequitur show and discussing pirates. I will be going on there next month with the pirate historian Bennerson Little. He's a friend of mine. We actually had him on the show for an interview a few months back. and I'll be going on the show with him. We're going to be talking about pirate history and just pirate stories, how pirates talked, stuff like that. So I'm not sure what date that's going to be. I'll keep you guys updated, but I'm very excited to do that because I love the Non Sequitur show. I love how it can be super scholarly and how it can turn into an absolute shit show, and I love both of those. Are you streaming from a gym locker room? No, sadly, I am not. I am not the active type. I will probably never be in a gym again. No, this is just my basement. It's very, very not much stuff down here. Guess a song. Fearless Wretch. Insanity. No idea. Can't think of it. I'm just mighty evolved to be here. Yes, you are. About 3.5 billion years of evolution, right? I think that's about right. I could be wrong. Grandfather clock. Apologies once again. Oh, the towel and the bright lights throwing me off. Yeah, no, I get that. Don't worry about it. I don't blame you. God, that grandfather clock. It does this a lot. It does it when I try to like record stuff down here too, and I have no I have no idea how to work the damn thing that well. I know how to wind it, and that's pretty much it. Don't know if there's even an option to turn off that fucking ringing. Pirates talk like ordinary people. I mean, yeah, yes and no. They kind of developed their own shorthand in different pirate havens. It really depends on what period we're talking about, but they did develop their own kind of slang. So while yes, they talk the same, it was hard for non-pirates to understand them sometimes. Fucking love Richard Carrier. How is he in person? He's awesome in person. I think he has a tough time understanding not sarcasm necessarily, but like when I'm an asshole to Chris, like that's just kind of the friendship that I have with Chris and with Ruben. That's the friendship I have with all of my friends. Just a very mean kind of, I guess, stereotypically guy friendship. And I don't think he always like asks, like whenever I say something, he's like, "Why are you saying that to Chris?" And I'm like, "It's just I'm kidding. Like, it's just our friendship." So disappointed in Richard, thinking he got famous too soon. I mean, teach their own. I wouldn't even call it banter though. What I do with my guy friends, I'm just really mean to them. We try to break each other down until we're lifeless husks. Have you guys seen that new show on Netflix? I think it's called Disenchantment or Disenchanted. What is it? It is Disenchantment. Yes. Have you guys seen that show? It's kind of like a it's kind of like a fantasy version of Futurama. A lot of the same voice actors, made by the same guy, Matt. I have no idea how to pronounce his name. Groening. That doesn't even sound right, but that might be the right way to pronounce it. But yeah, that's the one. I am I halfway through it? Yeah, I'm about halfway through it. But I'm liking it. I'm liking it so far. I definitely don't think it's as good as Futurama. Not a replacement for Futurama, but it is still good. Man, I miss Futurama. That was a good show. And no, it is not a vape. It is a hookah because for some reason I like Arab stuff. I like Arab food. I like Arab hookahs. hang out with plenty of Arabs. And here's the weird thing: the Arabs I talk to are so much unlike, because they're, I mean, they're all Muslims, but usually the places that I go to, uh, the when the women come in, they're wearing, hijabs and stuff, and the guys actually do say to the Muslim women that something is haram or uh, so it's very interesting that they, like, I can have a reasonable conversation with most of them. I have one of my friends, one of my Muslim friends. He hates talking about the religion stuff. Absolutely hates it. He gets like visibly angry talking about it. But for the most part, like, just cool, chill conversations. And they always seem to compare Islam to Christianity as if like those are the only two options. He's like, Islam is so much better than Christianity. I'm like, I don't even care if it is or not. It's still wrong. It doesn't even matter. Alice in Wonderland, yeah. That kind of although Alice in Wonderland is pretty trippy, just in general as a concept. So people think like there was this one time a few years ago that I was hanging out with Chris, and he parked his car outside, and he had uh just gotten to my place. He didn't, keep this in mind, he didn't smoke anything. He didn't even smoke a cigarette. He just kind of walked out of his car and came inside. And that's what she said. Um, we hang out for about like half an hour, and then the cops show up at my door, and they're like, "Were one of you gentlemen smoking marijuana?" And I'm like, uh, "No, not to my knowledge." Uh, and they're like, "Well, somebody called in and said they saw someone in a car smoking marijuana." And I was like, "That's impossible. I saw I saw Chris walk inside without anything. I saw him park. I watched the whole thing. There's no way that happened." Uh, Unless he's like an incredible magician, really good at sleight of hand, which I highly doubt. He's not very nimble. uh, but it was just so confusing. And they came inside and were like just doing, like, they had no like actually reasonable grounds to like do like a real search, but they just came inside and saw the hookahs, and they're like, "Is there weed in there?" And I'm like, "No, you can fucking test it. Absolutely not, because it fucking ruins a hookah." There's a way to do it that doesn't ruin the hookah, but it's still not great for the hookah. It requires a lot more maintenance, and I'm fairly lazy, so don't want to do that. Your Muslim neighbor is trying to marry his daughter off. Yeah, that sounds like something that would happen. What do you think about Niam City, the new mega smart city being built in Saudi Arabia? I have no idea. Never even heard of it. Reese, you're absolutely right. I've was actually thinking about saying, Chris, just grab a mic. Uh, we're all in close proximity, so it should be okay. Like if he wants to say something, just turn it on or just keep it on the whole way. It doesn't matter. Because it is kind of annoying because I never know how well the audience hears him. So I always end up repeating him. And that's just annoying for me. And I'm sure it's annoying for you. But you're absolutely right. Yeah, that's kind of the way it is in the US. But snitches get stitches, as the saying goes. Yeah, I'm Chris is a funny dude, but he's so bad at reading. So I'm really glad he's not doing any of the readings anymore because he was so slow at it. And he had the audacity to tell me that I was the one that was bad at reading. I'm like, no, Chris. Like, I have my problems reading, sure, but his problems are far worse than mine. If you go back and watch any of the ones he was in, it was just awful. That sounds like quite the endeavor, Alan. So, I think, or I thought that I had something else, some other thing, but I don't recall. That's a bummer. Uh, but yeah, you guys will be getting either an armchair philosophy or a book review from Ruben later this week, Friday, hopefully. Friday at the latest, I should say. If I manage my time correctly, it might be out by Thursday. But next week, I will either have a forged fiction done or have the golden calf thing done. Because the forged fictions, I have some really in-depth books on textual criticism, so the scripts are kind of easy to write. I just read through like a few pages, and I have like a bunch of info, and then I just kind of talk about it. And like if I'm curious about something, I'll obviously look it up, or if there are contradictory explanations for things. I'll go a little further in depth. You know what I also found? Sadly, I can't do it from this quick live stream because I'm not using OBS right now. But I found a book of Canaanite legends, and the thing is, these legends go back to like 1900 BCE, and at least that's when because we found them on tablets, and that's when the tablets date back to, and that's probably when the writing dates back to as well. But it's very interesting because a lot of the stuff from the Bible directly came from these older traditions. And since it's written so strangely, it's just kind of tough to get through, like to read all the way through. But I think one of these days, we might just do a full reading of it. Maybe Ruben and I will get together and do something like that. Because I think that's actually really interesting. I have a book called The Pre-Biblical Narrative Tradition, and it basically, talks about exactly that. And it's a really boring book. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. It's a really boring book. It is about poetic formations. So it talks about like cola, which it's not the drink, but it's a concept I don't fully understand. But it's like sometimes they do like things in threes or things in twos, and just kind of how things were written back then. And just reading about that stuff, just the first two chapters are about that, analyzing the poetry and the narrative formation. And obviously it's a prerequisite for the rest of the book, which demonstrates where the Bible got much of its narrative. But it is so hard to get through. I'm being 100% honest. I can't get through a single page without yawning. I think I'm about 50 pages through. That is a boring book, but I know it's important, so I have to get through that. Uh, does your Book of Legends talk of Lilith? I don't think it does. I can do a quick lookup actually. I was following your atheist Sunday school in hopes you'd mention her. We because I personally don't have that much info on Lilith, and in order to get because I have some things on Lilith, but really not that much. So anything that I could know about Lilith would be really minimal. But I can. It probably doesn't mention Lilith, but I can check here. No, it looks like it doesn't. It contains. Uh, Let me just go to the index, or sorry, not the index. The what's it called? The word is absolutely escaping me. The one with all that tells you all the chapters and the names of the chapters. How am I? Contents, table of contents. There you go. Okay. Wow, I just feel stupid. Uh, so the first is it just talks about the discovery of the tablets, and then an analysis and interpretation of the texts. So they have the story of Baal and Yam, which was the god of the sea, the palace of Baal, Baal and Mot, Karet, Akat, uh, Shakar and Shalim and the gracious gods, Nikal and the Katharat, and then they have the actual translations of these things in this book. So uh, a lot like the thing about Baal and Mot, uh, these are for Mott specifically, there were stories of his that were that many similar themes were incorporated into other biblical narratives. Baal obviously shows up in plenty of places. The legends of Kut and Akat are particularly interesting because they actually discuss the council of gods, like including Yahweh and El. Uh, this is where much of the stuff from the Bible came from. These ancient Ugaritic narratives. I read The Invention of God by Thomas Romer recently, and he argued that Yahweh pretty much came from the south. And I was he made like a strong case that he came from the south, but I'm like, but you're also neglecting the tradition of about the same age from the north. So I feel like it's only half the story, if you know what I mean. I gotta catch up on. Whoa, dog's barking. Sorry if that's too loud. Can't really control that. Gotta catch up on comments here. Where's the free online storage to put my library for public access? I think they actually do have something like that. I've heard of something like that, but I can't remember the name. Title of the book, is it available from Amazon? I think it is available from Amazon. The title of it is, let's just quickly look this up, Canaanite Myths and Legends by J.C.L. Gibson. So if you want to look that up, I just have it as a PDF. I found it. You know what I could start doing? Whenever I find a... No. I was going to suggest I could put the stuff up on Patreon, but it's somebody else's work. So I feel like accepting money to put it on Patreon is like morally wrong. So I'm probably not going to do that. I would feel like Brett Keane, because here's an interesting story about that piece of shit named Brett Keane. He took other people's mods for some video game, and he like if the mod was called lootable pianos, he would rename it. He would copy it, rename it to pianos or lootable, and uh, pretty much claim it as his own and post it on Patreon. So people would be paying him to not do anything, uh, like to just take other people's stuff. So it'd kind of be like that, I think. So I don't think I'll do that. Had controversial videos on YouTube. Then they died, and so did my collection. I didn't even know that was a thing, PewTube. Because it seems like the way you're talking about it, it was not YouTube. Because I don't remember when YouTube died. It still seems to be going. Huh, I did. That makes I didn't even think about teachers being able to do that, but it makes sense. I didn't even really think about it. But hey, guys, remember, make sure to tell me what you guys want to see like full in-depth videos about because I have a bunch of stuff. I have uh I have how many books now on biblical scholarship? Like 60, 70 books on biblical scholarship. About I still have like 50 books on pirates, but it seems like the pirate stuff doesn't really go well. It seems like there's good reception, but that there's just not enough of an audience for that. Wasn't getting a lot of clicks, and it was way too much stuff to keep up with. Uh, so yeah, I'm definitely always looking for ideas for videos. I have lists of video ideas, but a lot of them are like really, really, let's just say they're huge projects, and I've been kind of getting through them slowly. Let's see, Gnosticism versus Judaism. If there's anything more specific about that, I could probably do it. But I mean, I could probably go over a few things. I want to go over more Gnostic groups. Actually, I went over the Marcionites because they're my favorite, but I could certainly go over other ones as well. I guess I could do a comparison. That's an idea. Prophecy Daniel thing, absolutely. Yeah, I was actually planning on doing a video on Daniel, John, and the Son of Man, because that's like a crux of so much Christology. So I want to do something on that, but once again, that is also research, super research heavy. But it's all stuff I can get to. I just guarantee it will take a while. You know, I see Shane in the. I think I know who you're talking about, DB. I see Shane in the chat a lot, or not a lot, but fairly often. I haven't actually seen his. I think I checked his channel when he like first started, and he had like 0 subscribers. And I was like, all right then. Then I haven't checked it since. I don't think he had like 1 video. But yeah, I'll definitely check out his channel. You know what's really nice? My recent video on why atheists care about religion, it got demonetized, or it got its, that little yellow marker. which is a bummer. Uh, and I appealed it, and it gives you like this little thing that they don't manually review things unless they've reached like 1,000 views in 7 days. And this is the first time that a video of mine that has gotten demonetized has uh, actually gotten manually reviewed within that time span. So I actually did earn money from that. So that was nice. I actually got like an email saying that they reviewed it. Like I've had plenty of things that I clicked review and then eventually they remonetized them. But this is the first time I've gotten an actual email about it. So I'm not sure if they always send the email or if they just recently started doing that. But it's nice to know that it was actually like manually reviewed. Because like, yeah, I know it has the word atheist in it, but and I know that's actually a blacklist word, which is why it took so long for, which is not why, but it definitely had a lot to do with the reason this channel took so long to grow. It's because that word just puts you on like a blacklist basically, where it's just pops up less in suggested feeds and stuff like that. Thank you, Reese. I really appreciate that. Yeah, yeah. I don't know if it's Alexander or Alexandra. I don't know. I'll just call you Alex. Uh, yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think if it's not libel, slander, or a direct threat of violence, you should be able to do a video about whatever, just as an ought. Like I know that YouTube is uh, a private company, and they have every right to kick off whoever for whatever reason. But I think that like I realize this isn't a First Amendment issue, but I certainly think it's about the principle behind the First Amendment. But yeah, like I want them to be monetized too. Like I have creationist friends, people who actually, you know, think the earth is 6 to 10,000 years old and believe in the Bible literally, and they want to make videos about it. And I enjoy talking to them. Like I want my friends to do well, uh, and I want my friends to be successful. So if there's an audience for that, like why not? You can do that. I can do my thing. I think eventually good ideas beat bad ones. Might take some time, but can't really force these things if you want real change in the world. So, and I was also really happy to see the huge amount of people that actually saw uh, or actually were there for the live stream of the last Atheist Sunday School because we were in the middle of that spike, and I'm always. It seems that every time we're in a spike, whenever we upload a new video, that's when the spike ends. And I was really happy to see that it didn't. Uh, and it seems that we kept most of the subscribers because usually during live streams we lose subscribers. I probably lost subscribers during this one. I have no idea, at least not yet, but probably did. And I was really glad to see such a good turnout for the last video, and hopefully that keeps up. And I realized that last week's Atheist Sunday School was boring, but you know, hashtag blame the Bible. Not my fault. Yeah, DB, that sounds awesome. I'll definitely watch that. once you start making videos. I don't know if you have already. And I was talking to I sent Aaron a shirt too, even though David won the thing. I sent both of them shirts just because I was happy to have them both on. And Aaron said that he would wear our Unforgivable shirt on his next on one of his next videos when he goes over, because he has this Pratt list. If you guys watch Aaron, he has this list of, I think it's points refuted 1,000 times or something like that. Uh, he said that he would wear it for the next Pratt list video, so hopefully he does, and hopefully he gives us a shout out, because if he does, that's fucking awesome. I'm not gonna like pressure him into it. I'm not gonna like be an ass about it. And remember, guys, if you're not a patron, at $200 a month, we will start making our God sitcom, and I have some big plans for that one. It's going to be kind of fairly high in production quality, so we would need like a rig and probably better cameras, but I think we might be able to do it with our cameras. But yeah, we're gonna make a God sitcom. It's not gonna be like Mr. Deity. It's going to be like God living his life and dealing with, like, he's gonna be dealing with his own existential crisis, and it's gonna be a big thing, his home life. Oh, thanks, DB. That's awesome. Wait, hold on. Since you upped it, that means it's and you and Landon would be in the running for the free T-shirt. Because right now I've just been like ordering shirts for Landon because it's always him. He was the only one getting that perk. So yeah, it's a random drawing, but it's one guy. I haven't researched Abraxas, but I've heard the name before somewhere. I looked that up. I've heard it before. Okay. All right. Word of mystic meaning in the system of the Gnostic facilities, being there applied to the Great Archon, the Princeps of the 365 spheres. Woo, okay. Just from reading that, I'm like, wow, this is super Gnostic. Not just a little Gnostic, super Gnostic. You know, actually, here's the other thing that I actually wanted to talk about that I forgot about until this moment. In the last video, I was mentioning like atrocities being justified by the Bible, and this is one, like, it happened a lot, obviously, but there was one specific one that really stood out to me. So that whole Mark of Cain narrative in the Bible, I could not find any scholarly research on that. Not a single thing. The only thing that I found was sociologists using the Mark of Cain as, kind of a metaphor about how people act in general. That's the only thing I could dig up. So there's so much mystery around the Mark of Cain thing, and I have the Mark of Cain on my arm right there. Now that's not that we don't know what the Mark of Cain actually was from the Bible. That's just the interpretation from the show Supernatural that I have on my arm. But I love the whole story arc, so I was like, why not? Uh, and plus, it's one of my favorite stories. I think it's just really fantastic how Cain is all like, "Am I my brother's keeper?" Uh, but yeah, DB, exactly. Like, there's nothing to go on historically. I want to do like a deep dive into it. I want to see if I could be the guy to figure it out because there might be something there. So I'm going to at least try to give a hypothesis for that. Probably, I don't know when I'd be able to do that, but it's just so interesting. But during the slave trade, uh, they actually said theologians said that theologians and just the layperson doesn't matter said the mark was dark skin. It was black skin. So, oh yeah, Alex, you got it right. Uh, and so did Reese. I didn't even see that. Yep, Alex, you said it before too. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to talk about. They use it to justify slavery. You guys are way ahead of me. Great, fantastic. But yeah, that was a very interesting thing that I found out about. I was reading. I always forget his name. His name looks like Diarmaid, but I highly doubt his name's actually Diarmaid. It's like or Diarmaid. I don't know how to pronounce his last like McKella or something. Christianity of the first 3,000 years. He talked about that in his book, and I was like, I didn't know that. That's awesome. And that's like a 1,100 page book. It's huge. But yeah, that's what I was gonna mention. Whole black skin thing, justifying it that way. It's like they're the descendants of Cain. Might be a connection in other pre 500 BCE religions and myths. I was looking to it. Uh, I mean, obviously, I have not read through the entire corpus of these ancient myths. There might be something there, so I'm just gonna look through those. I was actually going to follow the story. Like, I was gonna see like what does Adam actually represent in the story? What does Eve represent? What would be their what would their son represent? And it's probably something about war and jealousy. So there's got to be something there. Like, it's just such an interesting plot point in the narrative. So I got to look into it. I got to try to figure it out. I'll make that my life's work. I'll write the first book on the Mark of Cain, but I'll have to do that one after I'm done with the one I'm currently working on. But yeah, there is no symbolism behind the mark. We have no idea if it was an actual mark or how it even should be interpreted. Uh, Nothing behind it. It's just kind of this is just the one that they had on Supernatural. I like that interpretation. Doesn't mean I think it's accurate, but I liked it. Astrotheology. I don't know much about astrotheology. Ruben might. My friend Megan knows quite a bit about it. I haven't talked to her in a while though. All of Cain's descendants died in the flood. Yeah, that's a good point. You know what was actually really weird? There was a group of Gnostics that they were called the Cainites. I think Irenaeus talked about them. They actually saw themselves to be the descendants of Cain, and they were like, Cain was this great guy, and he was just fighting against this this evil god. So they saw themselves to be the descendants of Cain. Just very interesting. I think they actually used the Gospel of Judas as one of their texts. I also think Adam being man and Eve being woman. I think that might be kind of true, but I think it has something to do with the exile. It's just a hunch, but that's what I think. Could be wrong, obviously. Possible polemic against tattooing, which was a pagan practice back to the Scythians. Maybe, but I know that they actually do have a way more direct polemic in there against marking the skin. Then I'm pretty sure they're talked about differently. Probably a different author thing. Still not sure. That this entire thing is just shrouded in mystery. Yeah, I'm not sure about the Nephilim thing either. I keep seeing that in like uh theological circles and the books I read that are theology, which are just a mind fuck because it's like just trying to understand the how people tried to justify their already existing crazy beliefs. Just a total mind fuck. Yeah, you're right, DB. Gotta go through all the possibilities. See where the evidence leads. Don't assume anything. Yeah. Or assume as little as possible, I should say. Yeah, the Book of Mormon, we're gonna get to that too. We're probably gonna run into a lot of crazy shit. But it seems that the stream is slowly going down in viewers, so I'm sure I've been boring you guys to death. So I guess that will be it for tonight. If you guys haven't, definitely consider checking out the website. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. All that good old shilling stuff. But that should be it for tonight. And you will have a new video hopefully out on Friday. I'll see you guys later.